Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on PharcydeTv with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
Going on, people?
And it is Mr. Shane Lawson. You know what I'm saying? We got Mr. Shane Lawson in the house. You know what I'm saying? A brother who's man, I tip my hat to you, man. You know what? You being in the footwear space is almost like somebody trying to be a rapper. Kind of sort of like there's a lot of people who are trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? But for you to be able to do it yourself, and then for the little like the B-roll conversation we had offline, like, man, I just wish you success, man. It's just real dope. But so with the podcast, we basically start from a space of hip hop, and then we work our way up to like what you're doing and what you have going on. Okay. So where were you the first time you heard hip hop, and what was the song?
Man, it probably was. You know what? The one that hit me the most was Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice.
Okay.
When I was like, maybe like, I guess 7 or 8, whatever. But that was like the song that I like hit me. And the reason why I did is because like I got in trouble for saying it to my pops, and I didn't really know, of course, know what it meant, but I remember that stuck in my head. You know, it's one of like the funny early on hip hop memories with like that song. But yeah, it's a classic too.
Yeah, when we was kids, we used to say that song was popular.
Right.
It was like beyond rap to me at that. You know, just as the kid, it might as well have been a nursery rhyme, like rolling down the street in my big wheel, trying to get a happy meal.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
Man, if Snoop would have only known who he was influencing the youngsters, man, I wouldn't even like, man, when Gin and Juice was going down,
yeah,
it's crazy because I'll tell you just real quick. I remember when Brown and some of the other homies had got a hold to Cypress Hill just to kill a man. And I remember like the sample and B-Real's vocal tones and all that kind of stuff. And I can also remember Brown and them had went to Freaknik and they came back and they were humming the melody to Mr. Graham, Are You High Yet? And I was just like, and it really made me like the song strictly off of them coming back from the Freaknik experience and them humming the melody. Or it might have been not Jack the Rapper, but one of the rap conventions or whatever. Mm-hmm. But nah, that's dope, man. Snoop Dogg influenced you, man. Got you going.
Mm-hmm. So where you from?
I'm from Hot Springs, Arkansas.
You said you say that without the pride.
No, every time I say it, I just feel like I'm my dad because I hear him used to say it so much. So when I said I was singing to him like that. But yeah, no, Arkansas, aka Spa City. Also the hometown of Bill Clinton. Same school, same town, all that good stuff.
Yeah, where I'm from, the only president we had was William Howard Taft. That's the he did absolutely nothing for our country. That's what he's most known for. I remember playing NBA Jam back in the day. You ever play that? You know, the code to get Bill Clinton.
Right. I did. You could. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I just love it.
You had to put Arkansas on there.
I downloaded the free version. Me and my son play it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. That's crazy. That's a generation thing right there.
Right. He likes it. Yeah.
Nah, dope. So, how do you think hip hop influences the world?
Best marketing.
That's a fact.
I mean, they make you drink liquor. They make you, everything.
Eat junk food. They make you
food.
They make you
even with the women, like that's a soundtrack to your life. You in the club, you might have met this honey, and like you like this was the song that was playing, or if you doing that, this song playing. So, I mean, look at Biggie Smalls and the Timberlands.
Oh wow.
And the Coogee, like it's great marketing worldwide. Everything. Like for me, I'm always like, man, I need to get a rapper to put my shoes on. They good at marketing. Everybody listening.
You did your homework, man. You did your homework. You know, I've said it a million times, but when I knew hip hop had really like crossed over, Sprite had gave Busta Rhymes a budget to direct a commercial. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
and like the commercial, it was like Busta Rhymes and Spliff Star, and they were kind of like hanging on. I think they were hanging on to like a semi truck, and they had like stunt people in it, but it was kind of like flashing to their faces and everything. And it was kind of like, this is big. You know what I'm saying? That was like one of the first, like LL Cool J might have got sponsored with like some soda money or something like that. You can't count Michael Jackson because that's like he's the king of pop. So him dealing with Pepsi or Coke or whatever that was whatever. But to see Busta Rhymes and to really get a video that kind of looked like a small movie, that was like a big deal for hip hop, man.
Yeah, Busta Rhymes, I remember his body movements was always weird. And I just remember the commercial. Man, they was going hard. Actually, you reminded me, like I remember they had they did like females of hip hop. And that was it was like Eve and Missy.
Yeah.
A Million. I remember that's the first time I ever heard about her. But yeah, you're right. They were like little mini movies. And yeah, that's crazy.
Go back and watch it now.
Yeah, it was a lot.
You know, when after 9/11, one of the things that kept, because I was with a group, I was working with a group that toured just like constantly, like that was their mainstream income. But when 9/11 jumped off and like everybody was scared of sponsorship dollars, like everything dried up, like radio dried up, every single thing. And it was a trip because after 9/11, instead of them just dumping the money, the brands and the big companies and all this corporate stuff, whatever, just dumping the money like straight into radio on-air ads, billboards, and all that kind of stuff. Man, what kept shows coming in the space that I was involved in hip hop was like Red Bull and Vitamin Water, and these companies started to come out. And what they would do is they would basically, like, I was a manager, so they'd hit me up and they'd be like, yo, do you have this such and such date available? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I do, cool. And they say, well, what would you guys want to get paid? And then I said, well, this is what we get paid. You know what I'm saying? Then they throw like a private event and get tastemakers to come out. And so basically, Scion, you know what I'm saying? They throw these events, get these tastemakers to come out. They pay the group whatever the group really wanted to get paid. And they got all these like people that were kind of like in between high level corporate and mid corporate. Like, so say for instance, every corporation has like the hip, I would say black dude, but now they're black, they're Asian, they're Hispanic, male, female, just whatever. But whoever's like the hip dude. And at the time, I didn't know, like, it wasn't a title on it, but they were the tastemakers. They were the dudes that brands hired to get ideas, who probably had fresh out of college or just a prodigy out of junior college, to get these ideas of how to market, this, that, and the other. And they would throw these parties that would be like maybe 2 hours long, but then they would have like maybe like an hour ahead of time to just mingle and just talk or whatever. Then it'd be like an hour after. And man, these brands and companies were throwing those type of parties, not meant for the general public, but meant for the people that were on the end. And man, that really started the revolution of making money after 9/11, like almost a direct marketing for the large brands and whatnot. And it was amazing for me to just kind of see how that worked, man. And it went on, man, it went on until I'll say from maybe like 2002, 2003, on up to about 2007 when it dried out. And the interesting thing is kind of like, man, think about it. Scion was a funny little car with a box shape. Like, who would want one? But dude, the marketing game was so tough. And then Scion, they had these street teams that were handing out flyers, putting up posters everywhere and every single thing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when Jeremy sent over the questions, he was talking about branding and marketing. And I see that you're into branding and marketing. And I was just kind of like, man, it's crazy how, you know, companies, now you have YouTube. So you don't have to rely on like the hand-to-hand combat of flyers and advertising and stuff like that. But back then, the companies had to really know what was going on the streets, like the pulse of what was going on in the streets.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, I had to get that off. You know what I'm saying?
What's your favorite other genre of music other than hip hop?
Man, I mean, 90% of mine is hip hop. Like, I mean, like, but I mean, I don't even think about it because like that little 10% is other. Like, it's just whatever. I mean, if it sounds good, I mean, like my lady playing like Dua Lipa, like stuff like that, and it'd be good, like Snow Allegra, like that stuff I wouldn't have listened to, but then when I listen to it, I'd be like, play that back. So, but yeah, I'm honestly, man, I listen to like now. I feel like, man, whatever pops up and it sound good, I put it like on YouTube and save it. So for me, I'm very open when it comes to everything else. But like lately, I've been on like the Nigerian rap too, though. That's been hard. What's Burna Boy?
Oh, okay.
But it's still hip hop, but it's like new, but it's like
is that Afro beats or just something else?
Pretty much, yeah.
Afro beats, yeah. Yeah, it's I wish I could able to keep up with that genre of music. Because I ain't gonna lie, it all sounds the same to me. I know people can say about hip hop too, but you know, like I have to literally
you just gotta listen to it. But it's like anything else, it's like the sound. It's like, okay, say, like my lady, she always play like background music, so it's like all that stuff be popping up, and I'm like, oh, this one hard, this song hard. So it's actually a lot of good music. But I think it's like anything else, you get a certain sound, like you know how you got trap beats, you know, then you got like you say the Afro beats, but then you got like when Pop Smoke, you know how like they had that sound. So it's like sometimes when you just kind of hearing it, yeah, it's gonna sound the same. Like we just like it's just the background. But when you listen to it and like dig into it, then you can be like, oh, okay, this is a little different, this is a little different. But you know,
I find myself, I just be I'll mumble the melody until she's like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Because I said the only one I know, and I'll be trying to make sure it's not the same song, but like Duwada, Chu, Duwada, Chu, like Duwado.
Who sing that? See, I don't even know.
I don't like Duwado. I be like, I don't know what the heck going on, man.
Hey, but
I'll be like, is this the same song? Is this not? It's not the same. You swear? I feel like this song is 12 minutes long.
I mean, some of it be like that.
Hey, man. Well, I'll give it up to the African and the Afro beats because they really take technology and take what we do and that's unfair. I'm not gonna say they take what we do. I'll say what they do, they'll take it to like a whole other level because a lot of these the African artists, and we'll start. It's funny because Brown had brought it up and we were talking about the artist that sung Return of the Mac because I remember I was in London. I remember being in London like 97, 98 and that song Return of the Mac just being like, dang, that was just like the R&B bump.
Yeah.
But Brown
Mark Morrison.
Yeah. Brown threw some extra little something on it and he was like, dude, you know, he was like what and not to put him out there like that, Brown or whatever, but he was like, dude, Mark Morrison kind of paved the way for the Akons. You know what I'm saying? Because when you listen, you know, you got the African, you got the voice and the way that they're doing, and then Akon evolved to I don't want to say auto-tune, but it's some kind of effect on his voice.
He did. I feel like he did have some stuff that had some auto-tune with it.
Some type of tune.
You know, but he also was doing a lot of stuff with T-Pain, and you know, that's kind of a given. And
if we just naming weird African niggas, then we can throw in Wayne Wonder.
I like Wayne Wonder. Yeah, shout out to Wayne Wonder.
If I heard it, I probably know. Like, but
what?
Sorry, who was Brown?
He's my business partner, and
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
I work with him. He has an extensive history in dance music, like dance stuff. He's a rapper, but then before he rapped, he used to dance for these house groups and stuff like that. 90, 80, like late 80s. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, Wayne. Oh, excuse me. I'm Wayne Wonder's Jamaican. I apologize.
Jeremy just lumping all the dark people that ain't from America. He just putting them in one little pot. Like, okay.
But for real, the way I interpret it is that voice and that sound. Like you got the rhythm, that type of rhythm, and then that type of voice. You know what I'm saying? Because of course you got the Jamaican thing that's different. You know, you got your Shaggies and your Sean Pauls, and they got their own history. You know what I'm saying? But this type of voice, you know what I mean? I understand what you're saying. That's a whole different history. So that's why I put Wayne Wonder in there, because I thought he was one of those guys.
Yeah, listen to him.
Yeah, nah, he dope.
Oh, Wayne Wonder? Oh, you heard the song, but we can skip. We need to move on. You definitely know this song. This song, you couldn't run away from it. It's like this song was popular when 50 Cent was popping, bro. It was like you could not get away from it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. It was one of those rhythms. So other than rapping, what other element of hip hop do you feel kind of calls out to you?
Oh, the biggest element is the fashion.
Hey.
Because that's the visuals. You know, you watch that's what gets you. You know, you see how they dressing, you know, like, ain't nobody wanna, like, you gotta look at it. Biggie Smalls made Coogee what it is. Like, it's iconic. You wear Coogee. Like when I see Future and I watch how he dressing, you know, it's like they influence you. Like, even if it's like for me to design something like that, or whatever, like, or sometimes I might say, man, I want to get Future in my stuff, like, you know. But yeah, the fashion.
I got an off-cuff question for you. I get these little alerts on my phone, and it's kind of like a Google thing that pops up, but it's a little different. It's some type of sponsored something. I think that artists, publicists, something to do with publicists, and it makes stuff pop up on my phone where I click it shows little headlines, TMZ, and, you know, other little stuff. But I was looking at Kanye, and I was like, dude, he really has the way he looked to me, and like, man, I'm no authority of fashion or nothing like that. You make your own shoes, so you know way more about fashion than I know about fashion. But it looks like Kanye has this thing going on where it's almost like a Star Wars, intergalactic, homeless, futurist kind of look, and down to like wearing like the fishing boots, kind of like a fishing boot and all that. Like, you being a designer and all that, how do you feel about somebody like Kanye that comes and does that, but he makes it work? He makes it work to a level where people that you would think would laugh at wearing those kind of clothes or just whatever, fools are breaking their neck to look like that. Like, that's really, really the way.
Well, J. Cole said, and this has started off, he said, make fun of the millionaire jokes on you. So that's pretty much the whole thing with Kanye. You know, like, he showed us what he could do. People trust in him. And when he wears anything, you're naturally just going to pay attention. But all that stuff, like, that's just basically like high-end homeless wear, almost, in a way. Like, that's basically the best way to put it. It's just like, it's just influence. You might look at a homeless person and be like, oh, that. But then you might go back, because you can take inspiration from anywhere. And it's like anything else. Like, you know, back in the day when holy jeans became popular. At first, it was like, you don't want holes in your jeans. Now,
unacceptable.
It's the same thing. You know, and like they say, all it comes back in circle, like fashion comes back around. So that's just what it is. Like, Kanye makes stuff look cool. That's what he does. That's who he is. You know? So I don't hate it. Like, some of his stuff, I'm like, it's wild, but I always have to look at both sides of the coin. So for me, I look at when somebody pushes the creative boundaries, and then I also look at it from the other aspect of maybe that's just what they felt at the time, you know. So, but I don't try to harp on it and be like, oh man, that's trash, you know, that's garbage. It's like, some of it I don't like it aesthetically, but I might like this part about it, or that they just took the risk and put it out.
Nah, though, you know, when I see it, at first I was kind of like, nah, I wouldn't wear nothing like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear the big black boots he had on.
But this is the thing though. Honestly, it doesn't look whack. It's just futurist. To me, it just it looks, you know, it's on some futurist stuff.
It's like the mischief boots, the red boots that came out.
Like, yeah.
It's the same
that's
thing. Because Balenciaga had the oversized rain boot, the big black boot. That's like you saying, that's kind of the futuristic, and it's a movement for it. The oversized bubble jackets, you know, the extra crop jacket, but super puffy. Like some of it look fresh, you know. Some people can pull it out, some people can't. You know, it's just that's a factor as well.
I think it's funny y'all keep using the term futuristic. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but I'm saying, like, you know, it's funny what that word means as the more time goes on. Because, you know, looking back at the 80s, mind you, I was not around in the 80s. I mean, I was born in 88, but I don't know. But that to me had a more futuristic look than, you know what I mean? Like that whole, like, you know, that's where you get the Terminator and all that stuff, the shiny metal, you know, glitz, glamour, all that stuff. And it's funny, when we get to the actual future, it's flat, basics. You know what I'm saying? Like minimal, you know?
Minimalist, yeah.
Well, you know, I think when I say futurist, I'm thinking Star Wars, Mad Max on. Like when I look at Kanye, I'll be he could pop out on Boba Fett. He could pop out on the Mandalorian.
Fit right in,
yeah. But I mean, I think it's the silhouettes. I think that's to what you're saying, Jeremy. I think that's a bigger thing. It's more like the designs are basic, but the silhouettes are like extreme almost. Like the boots are just like bulging out and stuff like that. So, but like you got a good point about like the chrome, stuff like that. Because even Nike, some of the Nikes in the 90s look more futuristic than stuff today. Yeah. All the Jordans now, they look the same. They changed 3% of the shoe for next year. But in the 90s, every joint looked, the 11s look different from the
crazier
12,
and wilder.
So different. And even their technology then, they still use today. So in one sense, yeah, you're right. It was more futuristic back then.
Yeah, but I like it, even though I don't indulge fully. But you know, I've always been a minimalist, you know, and I'm not the most fashionable person. So when somebody tells me like, oh man, all you have to do is wear this, like, you know, like put the combination of these type of clothes together and they basics. I'm like, well, I'll kill a basic store. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm
big on basics too, though, to be honest. I've always been like that. I've been more on the basic side than like the extreme like stuff. And that's just me naturally. But design wise, I can still pull from a lot of different places.
And I think what Kanye does is, I mean, he is smart marketing. You know what I mean? We can make fun of him, and I'm down to I'll roast him for days. But I say just the concept of, man, he be right though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
calculated.
He'll take it there, and we won't take it there. But he definitely affected the culture to where now we do it. Because now this is the question we got to ask ourselves: would that red boot have been popular or even been made if Kanye didn't wear boots by himself for a year straight and everybody laughed at him? He wore them
and probably not straight. Because, you know, Mischief could have been influenced from that. I mean, we don't know what they were developing and designing behind the scenes, but yeah, you look at stuff and nowadays you can turn stuff around in 2 to 3 months, and more than likely they probably were influenced by him. I mean, because a lot of people are influenced by him. I mean, at one point I used to wake up and the first site I pull up was Yeezy every day. Most of the time I'll be looking at Yeezy. I'm looking at their shoes, and then I read the material list. And then when I go to a store and I go look at them Yeezys, and I legit be looking at them like I'm crazy in the shoe store. Like, Yeezys were dope.
That's another thing too. I think when people are paying for a product or paying you or whatever, they don't realize that they're not just buying what's in front of them. They're buying that experience that you getting up early, going to the store, doing the research. That's why I try to let people in on, like, when people try to go back and forth with me on an idea, I'd be like, I have done the research. I know too much about this subject. You got to be a complete freak nerd to catch up with how much I know about this subject. So that's why I respect that. And I submit to you and then coming to those shoes. What's your favorite hip hop movie?
Dang. What's funny, the first movie that popped up when you said hip hop movie was CB4.
That counts. That counts. That's a hip hop movie.
Yeah,
of course.
That was hilarious. Because other movies, I look at like hood movies, of course, like Boys in the Hood and stuff. But like when you say hip hop movie, it's CB4 was hilarious.
MC Gusto.
That was funny.
Man, but even how real,
but it was real, but
how real it was. Like
because it was,
we live in a world, we got Rick Rosses and just so many rappers that name themselves after real people who was really doing the thing, and not to point fingers, but I mean, it's just facts. Like, like literally Rick Ross' name is not Rick Ross, and he get Rick Ross checks. That's crazy. This is a real world we live in. Like today, this happens.
But he can rap so good that you think twice about it. Because I ain't gonna lie, I love Rick Ross, and I still be like, man, that's messed up. He took the real Rick Ross name.
Dog, his name ain't even.
Play the music because it's so good.
His name is William Roberts, man. What the hell, bro? Like,
Meek Mill's name is Robert Williams.
Well, yeah, I know about that. That's funny.
It's just a funny, crazy.
Oh wow!
Both niggas made in the lab. but not even that. Even but Biggie Smalls, that's another gangster name. 50 Cent, that was actually a guy in the streets. A lot of these guys, their names are people who are in the streets. That's not to take away from anything that they do, but let's say legitimately that MC.
A lot of times it's a big influence from somebody else. Because I mean, even Biggie Smalls, there's a thing that just came out of a guy from Mississippi.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. And then when I listened to it, I was like, wow. And then when I saw the title of and then he said that he submitted that music to Diddy and them, I'm like, oh, I'm not saying that, but all the coincidence, I would have said it lined up. And knowing Diddy record, as much as I love Diddy, but he's a businessman, so.
Yeah, guys, I got something to admit to you right now. There was a comedian back in the 90s named Jeremy Scorpio, right? And I took everything from him. You think this is my name? Nah, right. Man. I took the whole thing, the whole dry humor. he also didn't make it early too. I took that from him. I just was copying. I copied his whole thing, man. Got me. Study his flow in his interviews. But now CB4, that's a good answer. We don't get that one that often.
Nah, that was a real good one. So tell me this: when did you realize you had an affinity for fashion?
Oh, when I was 8, I started drawing shoes. Yeah.
Wow.
I started sketching like Jordan, like 12s. Yeah, I feel like I think that was like the first one I remember. I would draw 30 of them on a piece of like loose leaf paper. And then I would color every single one. Me and my buddy Julius, we would draw and I remember this to the T. I would draw literally like 8 rows of Jordan, 8 by 3. Like it was like tedious. Like I would draw so it'd be small enough to have 3 shoes going across, and then like maybe like 8 going down. And
but what made you connect to footwear like that?
No, the Jordans, Air Jordan. I was seeing them.
It was that powerful.
Yeah, but at 6 years old, I was drawing the Lamborghinis. Okay.
So you were heading in a direction. It was just that when you locked in on the Jordan, you were like, this is it.
Yeah, that was it. And I would just draw those for until I was 12. And then at 12, I was like, I'm gonna draw my own little stuff. And then I just started drawing shoes and clothes, and I would just keep them in tablets. And I remember one day, like even for I think my senior year, I had to count all of my stuff, like how many shoes I designed, how many it is. And for me, my design is I can't say it's approved because it didn't go through all these things, but I mean, I would have like, I mean, even to this day, if I went through all my books and like the history, I feel like I got like 2,000 shoe designs. Like, but I used to have my stuff like super detailed. I'm talking about the side. I didn't color anything, but I would keep it like, it was like all like technical. So it would have the back, the side, the bottom, like crazy detail. And that was just the shoes. That wasn't including like all the clothes sketches I would do. And then sometimes I wouldn't even draw stuff down. Sometimes literally I would draw it in my head. I still do that to this day. I do that the most.
Yeah. So you like Jay-Z, you don't write nothing down.
I write it
you just go in the
down,
booth
but
and spit it.
in a way, but I used to train my brain like because like if I was going through classes and I'm walking through the hallway and I got an idea, I can't just stop and draw. So I would train my brain like, all right, if I draw this 3 days from now, you know, then it was worth it. So if I can remember it for those like at least 3 days in a row and I draw it down, it was perfect. So it was like one of those little mind tricks that I would use to like memorize things.
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Nah, man, let me tell you something. When Jeremy know people, they be at the top of their game. You're amazing me with this conversation because it's not, I could tell you do it. You know what I'm saying? It's
I mean, I be I study all day. Here, for example, like, I mean, this is just quick, but I mean, this is what I'm doing. If I'm not, you know, and I got all these books. Like so if I'm sitting somewhere else, I take a book with me, I'm reading it. Yeah. And then I'm writing notes about that. Like, cause that helps me too. So I'm studying all the time.
That's what I'm saying. When people are buying something, they don't realize that they're not just buying that product, they're buying the education and experience that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? Because like your shoe design, your shoe design is, is a very minimal design. You know what I'm saying? But people wouldn't know that you have all that in it. But I'm pretty sure once you put the shoe on and you wear it and you're getting the responses you get, it's like, yo, this is years and years of hard work and dedication put into a shoe design to where, like, because I see it, I see it and I want to rock it. I ain't gonna lie, especially that one you just made.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even that shoe, like I started really, and this is like even before then, but like just from the fall of 2020 since the pandemic is really me redeveloping this shoe again, like going through trials and errors, sewing this shoe up. All right, this don't work. Sewing this shoe up, this don't work. Taking 2 months off, sewing this up, making new pattern, getting new material. Like it took so long. It's a process.
And somebody comes to be like, man, I can do that.
And they can, but they better put the work in.
Nah,
do
bro,
it. It's just like, but it sounds good on paper.
Right. Nah, bro. Like I said, you worked way too hard, man. You sit in front of a sewing machine, bro. Come on, quit playing.
Right. That's just I got 2, but then I got 3. I got legit 3 machines aligned in my bed.
See,
all of them industrial. Like,
yep.
Like,
what was your soundtrack to your junior high school experience?
That's a good one. I don't even. I feel like Chameleonaire. I think Chameleonaire was like, that was like something I was always playing. Yeah, because Chameleonaire.
Riding Dirty. That's right. Yeah.
Right. But see, from being from the South, like, we get a lot of influence from Texas. So like when Chameleonaire dropped, it was all underground stuff. And my buddy, and actually it's Julius again, because like I feel like I got it from him. Like, and like he would have all of the Chameleonaire Razak, Color Changing Clip, which is Paul Wall, and then all that baller rap, what they call it, when they like, I'm coming down, send them 24s, like all that, like Fat Bastard from Dallas, and then like that was like the big, like the biggest piece I remember. Like that was just because it was more fun. Like it wasn't, sometimes it was deep, but sometimes like it wasn't that deep. Like, it was just fun music. So you could be like a little 8th grader and like just playing that. Like, yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I was fully tapped out. But man, that was going hard. Texas had it, Houston had it for a minute. They had a whole grip on hip hop. Paul Wall and just the whole Swisher House. I mean, you couldn't get away from it, man. You could not get away from it.
Especially from down there, and they was killing. Like,
hey, I'll tell you guys, me being from Southern California, Los Angeles, listening to the East Coast rap, listening to the West Coast, just like, man, early, we'll say late 80s to, let's say 95, 96, really a contender for this hip hop thing. Like, no longer, New York is no longer just like stratospheres ahead of us. We're really doing something on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You couldn't have told me that the South was gonna sneak up and snatch this shit and be and have it to this
Atlanta.
day.
I mean, look at the Atlanta killer.
This day, though, they got it to this day, and the whole twist is, you know, we used to kind of like we didn't really connect to it that much. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, you had your Outcast that was kind of like, not saying that it was light hip hop, but it was you could connect from Cali to an Outcast. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but the script flipped so tough that like dudes that was even more southern, well, a lot more southern than Outkast, really came up. And the crazy part of it is the record labels like really scurried away from the East Coast and from the West Coast, and they just straight pumped everything down south, man. Yeah. And it's amazing, dude, that they.
Oh, no, it's crazy. I looked it up one day because, like I said, I'm hip hop. I love all underground. I'm talking about everything. Like, I can, if you be like, who you like in DC, I can tell you. I can tell you my Chicago rappers. I can break all my rappers down by region. And like I looked it up one time, and like Atlanta had like 1,300 rappers on file. And that was like just 5 years ago because of curiosity. Because every time I like a rapper, I need to know their face, birthday, where they from. It's just a weird thing I always do. I like to know like certain facts about people. I don't know why I do it, but I memorized it like one time, and then so like and that's a good thing about me being in LA. If I see somebody from a commercial, 32 seconds, I know your face. I mean, I study all these rappers in a way, I guess.
What job gave you the best life experience?
Lake Catherine Footwear. I was working there from like 24 to almost about 26 years old. That was the best one because that's the one, that was a shoe factory that gave me like the vision and the foundation of like the future. Because when I went to that place, and it was a funny story, I called to get the job like a year before, and they was like, we're not hiring. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna go back to LA, stay here for a year. Then I went back home. So while I was there, I went in there, applied like on a Friday, just going through town, and then they pretty much hired me on the spot because I had showed them like my like portfolio and like my dress design. I went to school for dressmaking for like a year. So we did like pattern making, all that good stuff. So once I got that job, we like actually making shoes in a factory setting. So that took my brain to another level. And that was the best job. It was all the way around, it was the best job I had.
Dude, you gotta make it, man. I'm not saying you ain't made it now, but man, your history, you're amazing me. Your dedication is amazing me, dude. You really know about this.
Yeah, I mean, all day. Yeah, because that was just the first factory. I mean, I worked in two more. Like I worked in two out here, but there, they kind of was showing me how to make patterns. And it was funny because I was the only Black dude that ever worked in a sample room. So, and I mean, and that company's been around 50, 60 years. But when the other Black people in there telling you, now go in there and do good, baby, it's something special.
What's it called?
It's called Lake Catherine Footwear.
Okay.
So they manufactured Monroe footwear. They made their own shoes, and they basically had their own factory, but it's two different settings. It's like, because business wise, it's got to be two different. But yeah, I learned a lot from that spot, man. And like Mr. Monroe, and rest in peace to him, because he was like, he believed in me enough to make sure that I didn't get bored. That's what he told him,
Don Monroe,
Right.
died last year, moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas in 1959. Established the original Lake Catherine Footwear.
Right.
Man, you part of royalty, man. That's why you went out there. You he said, I need to develop myself out here in Arkansas. That's an origin story right there.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, it was inspiring to go up in there, you know.
Mhm.
Quick question. This is off cuff, real quick, and I'm cutting in front of Jeremy, but I gotta ask it because you flossed it. That it has been stuck in my head since you showed me that sewing machine behind you.
Right, this post bed over here.
And yeah. So tell me this: could you take a shoe that was destroyed and then you just have the sole of it, and then you come and totally dress it from the sole up with whatever you wanted to do with it?
I mean, I can, but it depends on. I need like other machines for that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, like I need like a cylinder machine, which is like basically like this machine, but it has like an arm this going this way, because that's more like for repair and stuff like that. Or when you see people putting a swoosh on the side of a shoe, that post is kind of like this, and that shoe can go in like this, and it fits different. This is more like from like the starting point, or like even if you made some bags on this, but I could do it, but it's just like different machines. But that's something I don't specialize in, but I follow people and I watch people and I watched a million videos on YouTube. So it's in the realm.
Nah, you're not worried about that. You're worried about your vision.
Right. But I mean, but I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna start this business where I'm gonna bootleg your shoes. I'm gonna have to make the knockoffs.
Backdoor me some money. We're good. Let's roll.
Yo, do you think they do that?
You think that they don't backdoor their own shoes?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Anytime big money is on the table, I'm not surprised by anything.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I found out the ticket scalpers, man, them tickets be legitimate. Like they buy them wholesale. The seats that don't sell, they just give, they're buying from the people, and then still get arrested for selling the tickets that are legitimate. It's crazy.
And see, for me, I didn't realize they were legitimate. I don't know why I was thinking they were stealing them. Because I'm that's
I was like, what? Like pretty much, employee just hit them like this. They hit them. They give it to them, they run off and sell them. And I mean, it's all in cahoots, man. And then, they can't say nothing because they be like,
But the only reason why they get arrested, right?
So they can take their money?
No, the only reason why they're getting arrested by the police is because the police can't tax that.
Say what?
Only reason why the scalper is getting arrested is because the police can't tax that money.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
That's all.
We might have to revisit this because I know this is a section of the show where we get to. But what's your favorite comedian?
Tony Roberts. I love you, Jeremy, but Tony Roberts.
No, that's funny. No, Tony Roberts. I like Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony. This is the only thing I say about Tony is, you talk about specials. I brought this up several times. Tony Roberts, amazing comedian,
right?
Terrible special. At least I'm different. It wasn't
special, but I could see why it'll still tighten up. Yeah.
It was.
I think all of like Detroit Motor Mouth. Like, yeah, I watched this.
That might be better. I'm different.
Detroit Motor Mouth was dope. I mean, I watched because he got 3 or 2 specials.
I just never forget this one because it was like it literally. I always use this as my reference of what not to do for a comedy special.
You cold, man.
No, it's just facts. It's facts. I'm pretty sure he probably feels similar because there's a big editing error that actually educated me on editing. Straight up. Like this is what I was trying to explain to you when you brought up your boy Smooch. But it's different. Pretty much the editing error in the special is there's a part where, and I didn't even realize it until it happened. I was like, dang, it messed up for me. There's a point where he killing, and you hear the crowd go, and he's still talking. Everything's still going. And then they come back in. And I go, ooh, somebody didn't get paid all their money.
Or then they just
slapped him together.
But I can't say I do. I mean, I love comedy though. That's one thing I do. Like I be trying to.
Man, huge supporter, man. He come out and bring his people, everything, man. You huge supporter. I appreciate you.
And
man.
I pay for tickets. I don't do the hook me up.
You can get the hookup though.
No, like Jeremy was like, why you tell me? I'm like, bro, like, no, I'm just,
You know what?
like, it's being real, bro. We like, bro, if I'm gonna go do something else and pay for somebody I don't know, I'm gonna go to yours and pay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm the same way. It's like, dude, if you can't give up 20 to 30 bucks for the homeboy, man, and the homeboy funny, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, but for me, when I go to Jeremy's shows, the thing that kind of fascinates me is the amount of talent that's with him that you don't hear about. And I really feel like I'm kind of cheating the game because I'm like, I'm only paying 20 or 30 bucks or just whatever. And like he's on stage with like some other cats that are like it's almost like a secret. I'm kind of like, dang,
right. I feel you there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like that too. Like when you get to that, not saying underground, but like let's just say not mainstream.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, you get more bang for your buck.
Dude, I went to the show that he did in Long Beach, and he killed it. But there was different comedians before him, and it was crazy to me because like there was a guy who was like, I believe he was half black, half Hispanic, and he was really going hard. And it kind of made me just say like, man, why don't people know about these comedians, dude? Like they're funny people, but the last show that I went to that Jeremy did, it was probably about maybe seven comedians or something like that. And I was like, well, you know what? It's not about talent. It's just like rapping. It's just like so many rappers or so many singers or so many whatever that it's so many that you might not gravitate towards. You might not be exposed because there's just so much to be exposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
This just breaks down. It's like anything else. It's like finding your lane, marketing. It's like that across the board. It's like in every field.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
absolutely.
So when you graduated from high school, senior year, or before you graduated, senior year, you're about to graduate. What did you feel would be your path?
Man, I still like my senior year. I still was like, but I was looking at like Fayetteville. Funny story how stuff works, man. Like I was looking at Fayetteville and I'm like looking for like fashion design program because footwear at that time was like it was like it was so hard to find it. Like, so I was like, I know fashion is more common. So I wasn't gonna go to Fayetteville, like the big school, like the Hogs, but when I'm looking through all of the paperwork, it's like I didn't see like the fashion program. I don't know if I missed it or whatever. So then I found one at this other school called Harding University, and like in Searcy in Arkansas. And then so I went there for fashion merchandising. And then so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. But it's crazy because that weekend before like school started, I was like, man, I just want to go home. I ain't even, and it's like 2 hours away, but I told my grandma, I was like, man, I don't want to do it. And it's like, I should have followed my gut because I left after that semester. But I finished the semester out and I did the fashion merchandising program and I did good in there. But I was like, man, and no shade to nobody that does merchandising. I was just like, bro, I mean, I don't need school to like dress as mannequin. Like, and that's just really what I said to myself. And then my dad was like, hey, I met these dudes out here at this downtown. Like, they got this fashion school. And I'm like, all right. And so my dad in LA, and I'm like, well, bet. So I was like, forget it. I just go do that. Plus it was LA. I'm like, whatever. So that kind of just pushed me that way. And then so I did that school. And that's pretty much how I was after high school. It was kind of like a maybe it wasn't nothing. Like I was like, all right, this is gonna be the school, and that was it. I wish I'd have been like, I'm gonna go to this school, but nah.
Tell me this. There's so many tennis shoes, so many classic tennis shoes. If you had to name a classic shoe, what would be the classic shoe that you just gravitate to? Not necessarily that you would model the footwear that you do after, but like what's the iconic shoe that's like a go-to that you just feel like, okay, like for me, it's kind of like I haven't had a pair in years, but like the Adidas Samba and like the Stan Smith. those are like a classic. They're just not comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
You say like that I would wear, right?
Yep.
Probably more like the shell toes, Adidas shell toes.
Okay.
You know, I would say Air Forces, but like for me, like I'm always like I always felt like the Air Force was like a little bit larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, they're gonna make my feet look big. I'm gonna look like a little clown. So that's one reason why I never really wore Air Forces, because in my mind they were always a little bit bulkier. And they really are, because like if you, and this is just from like design term, if you dig inside the shoe, there's a insole that's like this, it's like real thick and stuff, but so they sit up higher, but it's like those and Dunks. Cause I used to wear Dunks more back in the day. When I used to work at Foot Locker, I'm like Dunks, just because they was more sleek, and I feel like they just fit me better, like aesthetically. I love Air Forces. Air Force is iconic. It's like, you know, like basis for like dang near all shoe design, but personally, Adidas and Dunks.
I was going to ask you a question about Trump, but we're going to scratch that. He's whatever. That's whatever. But with the Air Force, with the Air Force One, what do you think just brought it back? It's crazy, because it's like, it seems like the Air Force One right now is hotter than Cayenne Pepper.
It is,
and it appeals to everybody. Like it's
you catching on yet? It's every 10 years on the dot.
Okay.
It's just, that's just the way it is, man. They pick somebody, they put the shoe on the person, and they go. A$AP Rocky was the last one.
But so you saying the reason why you asked me why is the Air Force One very popular to this right now?
Yeah, like I was at Coachella a couple weeks ago, and that was kind of the shoe that I just saw on like everybody.
Right. One big thing. Now, even the story about how the Air Forces resurfaced back like in their late 80s and 90s even is crazy, but we're not gonna go back there. But basically, one reason why it's very popular is because and it's really because a lot of the people that paint on shoes and stuff like that, because it's a white silhouette, everybody knows that shoe is comfortable visually and like aesthetic, all that good stuff, whatever. But that's the reason why. So like even when you go on their sales log, like they sales is like crazy. Cause like I looked it up and it's like almost higher than it's ever been. And most of it is because you getting a lot of people that's like, they're making customs on the Air Force One silhouette and then they're selling it. So, you know, if they doing 10 of those a month, 20 of those a month, they're purchasing 10, 20 a month. That's just one person. Now you got 1,000 people across the US and they just customizers. You know, you do the math right there, and that's just in that small segment. And then they influence the average person that just like, oh, I like these Air Forces now. You know, so, and then more people are starting to do it. So the biggest thing I've seen is from the customizing world. That's why they so popular.
And then you got the this is a whole fashion statement by itself. You got the white girls wearing the dirty Forces. That's a whole.
That's like a New York thing I heard. Yeah, everybody they beat their Forces up.
That is in, man. It's like
that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like you have everybody from the gothic person wearing the Air Force Ones. You have the hip hop heads. You have the hipster. Well, I don't. Is hipster a thing anymore? But
yeah, I mean, it's still a thing. Yeah, it's like it's a.
Yeah, you got the hipsters rocking them, and I'm just like, man, I'm not saying they're definitely not as large as Jordans, but they are a go-to. You know what I'm saying? It's a staple for some people.
Yeah,
I actually did some research too, because I kind of felt the same way. Because I say throughout my high school tenure, I probably bought like 7 pair. But that's because I could pinpoint the moment. I remember this girl. I used to take pride in buying my shoes, but I didn't care about the brand. I just bought them for the way they looked. I didn't care. I had a pair like Air and ones, like Air ones. And I remember this girl. She was like, man, I'll never forget. She was like, Jeremy, motherfucking Scipio. She was like, you cute, but those shoes are trash. I'm like, yo. She said, if you don't go get you some Air Force Ones real quick. And that started it, man. It was like,
but
I wore.
That's real. Women influence us too, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like, yeah, your woman be like, ooh, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you trying to attract a mate, you trying to attract somebody, so you try to get what they attracted to. So that all plays a part.
Honestly, I wasn't into her per se, but it was like she I feel like everybody was thinking, like, but because I literally only owned 2 types of shoes throughout my whole high school career. It was either Air Force Ones or Timberlands. That's it. I ain't touched nothing else for that whole time. And I probably had like 7. So when I was done, I was like, man, I'm never rocking these again. And you never say never. You know how that go. Because a couple years ago, my niece, she had them. She had some clean ones. Cleaning them. And I was like, oh, that's it. They wearing those again? And I was like, all right, I held out. You know what I'm saying? Then started seeing them pop up. Like you said, it's just everywhere. You're like, what? And I'm like, now look, I said, that was about 10 years ago.
But you right, it all comes full circle.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I definitely. And then also the air unit. You're right. The height, the air unit. It's they actually. I forgot what other shoe that is people wear for height, but the Air Force One actually gives you more height than that shoe. A lot of people don't know that. So it's actually one of the most basic shoes that gives you like an extra like half an inch in height.
It definitely does that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wear big shoes, so I that's just me. Would you ever sell your company or stay in charge?
I probably never will sell it.
All right, you didn't hear my price though. But no, seriously, like I think that's like a big question. Like you know, because a lot of people, they get to a place where you know, obviously, if somebody offers you let's say 800 million is like the new 500 million. So like say somebody
it's all, I think it also starts first at like your objective. Like what's your objective? Is it to make X amount of money or is it to build XYZ? That's the first thing you got to ask yourself. So that's the first barrier. It's just like somebody said, what's your success? It could be making 100,000 a year doing this, then that's fine. But for me, like for one right now, I mean, it ain't worth X amount of money, but like if I was at a point to where I'm like doing big, you know, big numbers, then that number, if I sold it, has to be like $1 billion at the lowest.
It's $1 billion at the lowest?
Even then, I would still have to, yeah. Because at some point, once I start building out my factories and stuff like that, now it's legacy, you know? So for me, it's like, honestly, bro, in my brain, I'm trying to see how many more shoes I can put on people's feet versus how much money I can make.
Mm-hmm. And what about when companies go public? Would you ever consider that, or?
It's like anything else. I would never say never, but for me, I've been so independent that I don't really even think about going public anymore. I mean, because you know, once you start selling off those shares, and it's like anything else, that once you better cap at 51%, because once you slide to 50, now you don't have all the control. So that's another thing. So you know, and I think about all that stuff. I watch Shark Tank and everything. You know, I'm not gonna go on Shark Tank and be like asking me all these questions, and they're gonna try to take everything. But for me, I'm like, I don't think about selling. I think about building.
Okay.
You know, I have one of my mentors. I do printing also. Like that's the other side of what I do. But one of my mentors, he's an old school dude. I started off with a relationship with his son. His son jerked me. And it's crazy because his son and the father, they both did the same thing.
Okay.
And for some reason,
like father,
no. They didn't both jerk me. They both did what I was going, you know, they both provided the same service to me as being one of my vendors. And so when the son jerked me, I was cool enough with the pops that I went to him and I was like, man, I was gonna cut both y'all off, but I'm just gonna be real. Your son got me, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. This is what it was. And he said, you know what, man, you don't even gotta say it twice. I got you. We gonna make this right. And so the father really went out of his way to just throw me so much love, to just get me back in the game and kind of like lift me up. But the pops, you know, man, the reason I say he's kind of like one of my mentors, I watched this guy have the same business and he sold it to 3 people. And the 3 people he sold it to, he stayed on to run it, knowing that they weren't going to be able to run it. And the same business came back to him 3 times. So he got all this money from these dudes, gave them game. But see, that's the most interesting lesson about it. And that's why I kind of call him a mentor, because he kind of shared with me kind of like how he did it. he got these dudes that had so much money and they thought that they could reinvent the wheel with what he was doing. So they come in with all this money and they're doing all this stuff. And he's telling them, well, you know, if you want to be successful, you got to do it this way. But they're thinking that money is gonna supersede the model of business that he's been doing to be able to hang on to this business. So he says, well, you know what? If you want to do it, I'll help you do it, but you really should do it this way. But they're throwing money at it. I've seen 3 multi-millionaires throw money at this dude and fail the business. And every time he ends up with more equipment, he ends and he don't lose because he never relinquishes more than 60, like he'll hold 60%. So the most that they can get is 40% of the business, thinking that they're gonna come in with these bright ideas and everything, reinvent the wheel to the point where they can buy him out. They never make it, man.
Right. I mean, because he knows what's up. Like, and for one, he still got the control. And then two, and then from what you're saying, those guys, what happened for those guys, they came in with too much money. You can also have too much money in the business. Where you start buying stuff that doesn't make sense. And then some people feel like they can stop the bleeding by putting money on it. And that's what happened with that.
Yeah, my dad used to call that chasing old money. Yeah, new money chasing old money or something. Right. So you put money into something that's on its way out.
All right, so now we're gonna flip the page before we get into some other stuff. So this has been a debate, and you know what? I honestly feel like I've lost it. Like it just is what it is, man. But I'm gonna ask you, Marvel versus DC.
I mean, we're just off top, Marvel killer.
We should be so disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah. But honestly, I can't keep up as much. Like I be trying to keep up with all the new movies, but it's so much. So I kind of just watch it from the sidelines almost, to be honest. Like, because once it was so many movies, I'm like, they like, oh yeah, this. I'm like, which one? And I just, yeah.
Okay. On GP of haterisms, I'll say Marvel Killer 2, man.
But I watched the new Batman. What was that? That's DC, right? Yeah, DC. Yeah. That one was actually good. It was long, but the storyline was good, and I feel like they made it more realistic. Like it wasn't like all extra. So I
only have one problem with that movie. Way too violent. That was crazy. Batman was really. I'm like, this ain't. I love Batman, but that was not for kids at all. That nigga was breaking. It was like bones cracking and everything. I was
right. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think it had. I didn't think it was violent enough.
Oh, you wild, bro.
I was like, Batman need to be some more people up.
They wanted you to know immediately from the trailer that this is not that Batman. He sat there and punched that dude like pow, pow,
just
pow,
from
pow, pow. It was like,
darkness of the movie, like just. And that's just like the lighting aspect.
Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah. No, that was like, man, I was like, yo, this ain't for kids at all. This dude was whooping ass. Whole movie, right? Breaking bones and everything. Like, yo. But so what you think of Black Adam?
I haven't seen it.
I will leave that one alone.
I've heard of it. Look, that's The Rock, right?
Yeah, it's The Rock. Yeah.
I've seen it 6 times.
You watched it again. You said 5 times last time.
So I'll take it to
it's dope, man.
It's a movie, right?
You said, huh?
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Because man, now so many movies, TV shows, I'm like, who?
Yeah.
Check it out.
It is easy to get confused. And they just announced a whole new slate of movies coming out soon. So yeah, I don't blame anybody for being confused.
Oh, dude, this a lot. I was having back finally.
Man, I hope this one's good. I
felt like the person was good, except when they had Cole in there. Just
that was you know what that was. He's supposed to be Johnny Cage.
I read the review. I read the origin story about that. They said the reason why they put him in there, and which to me it doesn't make sense. They were trying to have a central character that could bridge both worlds, like the netherworld and like the Earth together. And I'm like, I get it, but we come from the the real Mortal Kombat. So like some kid that's 15 years old, they only gonna know what you give them anyway. So I don't know how much of that was that probably was just a fluff. I feel like that was just some of them making up a story after the fact.
They also are in a thing where like studios, I don't want to get too political, but basically studios when it comes to Japanese products and white male leads, they're trying to avoid that. So they doing this no-name guy just because they want to avoid that. Man, we know it's a white man's world. We just want our heroes told correctly. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like all that, like, man, look, I got my hero, my real black heroes. I don't, just give me my little fictional stuff.
Right.
I don't, they the stuff that they think we care about, we do not care about at all.
No, like everybody was looking for Johnny Cage. Yeah, I was kind of like, dude, everybody was
we want rights and legislation. You can keep we can keep the Johnny Cages, you know what I'm saying? Like I had the same feeling every time I see Black Santa Claus. I'm like, we don't need Black Santa Claus. we don't nobody wants that. We don't want that. We don't Jesus is black enough. That's all we need. We don't need Black Santa Claus. Y'all can keep the fictional characters.
Right.
But okay, worst brands. Which I was just thinking about a brand that made bad decisions that you just thought was like, was kind of
the easiest one is like, and of course you're speaking of fashion brands, so I would say Balenciaga. That's easy with their last
You
campaign.
read my mind. Oh, you read my mind, man.
But they're successful.
Hey.
But successful don't mean that you it's just like saying rich don't mean you nice, or rich don't mean you smart.
Yeah, man. They went for the I'm sorry.
But I look at a company like that, and I love Balenciaga design wise, but some of the stuff they do, I'm like, y'all reaching, and it's a money grab, which I don't like.
Too far,
but
man.
I say a lot of these companies, and it's kind of with the black-white thing, like some of these companies are just insensitive to like people.
Everything.
And they think because people have purchased this in the past that, this will work as well. And like they don't listen to people. And sometimes you don't have real people in the rooms to say things.
The kids, man.
Y'all know what I mean by that.
They went too far with the kids, man. They went too far with the
right.
I read a lot of that stuff. I don't even think I saw the campaign. I was reading a lot of like reviews and people talk about it. And it's just like whoever you got checking off stuff. Yeah.
But I believe they're coming at it from a space of controversy is good. People say
that. They like, all controversy is good. And they only say that because like people talk about a product, it can like, of course, give you ad dollars because they have like an algorithm. They're like, oh yeah, you spoke about this company so much, or they got so much. Like when Big Baller Brand was popping, the daddy would go viral, and they like, well, he got $1 million in free advertisement. Okay, he got that $1 million in free advertisement, but look at the company now. We don't hear nothing about it. So so at the end of the day, I mean, and see, for a company like Balenciaga, they got enough money in the bank to where they won't be affected by the controversy, and that's the problem. Like, so they'll say like, oh, we didn't feel like they didn't, that's why they can also make bad decisions because they don't feel it in their pockets, and that's the problem. People only pay attention when they feel it in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like everybody want to boycott stuff, like the Gucci thing. People was mad at Gucci for 3 weeks.
If that.
Back to it. So I'm like, so if y'all mad, and if you're really mad, stop buying it. You hurt them in their pockets. Rich people only pay attention to their wallet. So
we have no discipline. We have no discipline.
No. It's discipline, is self-awareness, and it's like anything else. It's just all people just be like, oh, they mad just because the next person mad. They ain't really mad.
Balenciaga, to me, is the higher fashion version of Supreme. They'll slap Balenciaga on anything.
Now they are, and that's why I'm starting to not like them because, like I say, that's the money grabbing.
Trash bag.
Looking at them fake Asics that they got, and I'm like, yo, like
they will slap Balenciaga on a brick and be like $3,000, and
because people
will come and buy,
paying for it, and that's the problem, But like I say, people keep buying it, so they're gonna keep making it, and it's almost like it's like people just like falsely patting you on the back. They buying this product, even if they don't like it. It's almost like they just want to do it to be a part of the brand. And it's like, it's wild. But like even Supreme, sometimes they doing that too, you know. But
oh, absolutely.
And I like
Like
Supreme in some aspects. I do love like the story, like, you know, they marketing and stuff like that, you know. But some of the stuff I'm like,
some things need to be bootleg. These Balenciaga socks, shoes, whatever, that is like, oh, that's such a waste of money. That's crazy that they do that to people.
runner
Man.
shoe,
Like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I mean,
yeah.
But see, you could say it's a waste of money. Somebody else would be like, they love it. So I'm always like, you know, if you fine buying it and you can live with it, cool. That's on you. I can't judge you because I mean, we all got our things. You know, we can always harp on other people. So I try not to be like, I mean, I'm not gonna pay for it, even in general, but because like for me, I look at it from because see, for me, sometimes that's why it's hard for me to buy shoes. Because if I go and I look at this shoe and I start breaking down the material, all that stuff, and like taking away real deal, like I'm like, all right, this shoe is probably really worth this. But it doesn't matter because it's all about the branding, perception, you know, how people feel. So that's what you buying. Like you said before, that's what you're purchasing. So when you say that shoe is ugly, somebody else is like, but it's comfy for me. Somebody that can't that have carpal tunnel, I can just slip these on though and still go to the club. So
yeah, you know, man. Not $900 though. Get you a sock, staple that to an Air Force One bottom, and you'd be happy with your life.
I took a picture one time of an outsole that I had, and I put a sock on and just put my foot in there and was like, "Here we go."
Man, come on, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? And make sure you write Balenciaga on it so people know that you paid.
That's the power of branding, though. Like once your name is strong enough, people buy into your name.
Even the person. Man, like it'd be like legit shopping bags with Balenciaga on it, and people buy. Like I'm like, yo, they're pushing the. I believe there's somebody in that bar pushing the limit every day. Like, what else can we make these people buy?
Yeah,
we don't. We have to put minimal effort.
I mean, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be fashion forward. So they look at stuff that other people aren't looking at, and they like, "Ooh, let's move the needle." Mm-hmm. And when people purchase it, they look at that. Oh, it was a success. Let's move the needle further. That's the game.
Mm-hmm. Your favorite superhero?
Batman.
You DC, you gotta be Batman. That's the only one I got.
Growing up, Batman was it, and I'm like,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, Batman is hard.
Jerry.
But I also gotta give it to my Ninja Turtles. So, because they're a group, but like them two, I gotta give my Ninja Turtles credit.
What are your thoughts on the writer's strike that started yesterday?
I just read about it.
Today.
It was today. I think I just saw it pop up. For me, I look at it like, dude, and this is all what I always believe in. Stop being cheap. Because you're gonna get cheap results. And that's across the board. And at the end of the day, writers, as we all know, are foundations for all this stuff. So, like, if your foundation is weak, it goes up. So it don't matter. Foundation crack. You can live in a mansion. If the foundation is garbage, we already know what's gonna happen. So for me, I think it's BS that they still in a point where an actor is making $20 million a movie, but then you got this writer that's writing the content, scraping the bottom of the barrel, which I don't even understand that concept.
Yeah, I mean, if they Chris Rock, I remember he said described the concept of minimum wage. He said, if somebody pay you minimum wage, that means if I could pay you less, I would, but it's illegal.
Right.
Think about that. So, if it wasn't for the Writers Guild,
and it's capitalism.
Real.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. So the Writers Guild is literally there to say, hey, can we get $2 more? They like,
yeah, because even for us, you know, working as PAs, production assistants, you know, you over there getting the bottom of the barrel, and they like, we can't give you another $25 a day, but hey, can you go to Starbucks and spend $75 for the agency, even though we got some coffee over there? But can you go do that for me?
No, I'll tell you where it started turning my head, and it's you know our boys that we kind of came up with. But my one boy, he was just telling me like, he said, man, I knew you was smart way back then. 'Cause he said you would talk to producers in ways I would never think about talking to producers. But it's just like knowing your worth. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're working with, but you talk about the car thing, man. Man, I swear they when you realize how much time or how much mile wear and tear you put on your car for the company's not even paying you, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And
and like
it's a risk.
I did one job when I was like early on, and I remember doing a TV show, and they made me be a like background talent for like the yoga studio. They're like, you gonna put this shirt on, you gonna stand right here. And then I asked the second AD, I'm like, hey, well, how much you gonna give me for putting the shirt on and standing there? He's like, you can either get your PA rate or you can get this. I'm like, so you want me to take less for? I'm like, so you want me to take $60 for the whole day? And after that, I got screwed up on that. And after that, I never got screwed again. Because anytime somebody, I mean, even one time I was on a big commercial, they like, Shane, I need you just to touch the mixing board. So I went right to the producer. I was like, who this video going to? How many views you expecting to get it? And I'm like, how much money? Producer was mad. And it was just little money. It was like $100. But he was like, his face was so tight.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't want to give it to me.
Hey.
He gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Every job, literally, after that, somebody threw me in a commercial, was asking me for something. I'd be like, excuse me, everybody, producer, how much? Like right in their face to face.
Oh, yeah.
How much? And
oh man,
give you this. And then they go, yeah. So after that, I would never let them do it again.
Man, and I tell you the mileage forms. Oh, I hated that. I hate that. Somebody say mileage. I used to look at them and be like, I say I have no gas in my car, and they go, yeah, but just fill out a mileage sheet. I say I have no gas.
Classic.
How'd you get here? I said I used the last of my money to come to work. I only have enough money to get back to work. How are you surprised that I don't have the money when you literally pay me nothing? Right. What do you think is going on here?
And I'm sure Carlos Miller, like that was one of his things he said. He's like, jobs pay you just enough to get back to work on Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he said that, I said, dang, he's right.
Yeah, man.
Because they keep you, the hamster wheel.
I call it crack money, man. It's just enough to get you,
just enough
to get right back in the game. You know what I'm saying? You get high, you get your bills taken care of, just enough to live. You go right back to it.
And they always keep you, they keep you right there.
Mm-hmm.
You still tethered to them regardless.
Yep.
Your most iconic moment.
In what aspect though? Like, because I mean, I don't feel
footwear.
Like you saying, like the best thing that happened for me, or like
your journey of the footwear.
Yeah.
What's been the dopest thing to happen to you?
When Jeremy Scipio put his shoe in that foot, my shoe for the first time, I knew our lives was changed. No,
I'll say the dopest thing. Honestly, I won't be real. The shoe I just made, that's the dopest thing that I've done for me because that's what's going to change the future. Because everything else was learning lessons.
Everything else was what?
Like learning lessons. And plus, nothing was iconic because nothing really because everybody was like, oh yeah, you need to get this shoe to this celebrity, and then they're going to just take you to here. I mean, I tried to do that, given and no. I just think the most iconic thing is the thing I just made 3 weeks ago. Even though that was not truly the answer you was looking for, that's what it is.
Nah, man, it was the answer you gave me was the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds solid. That sounds like you believe in your product.
100%.
What's your ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal: have a large manufacturing facility in Arkansas, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, to be exact. To manufacture at least 1,000 units a day, like completely. So that means uppers, everything. And then from there, I've already calculated I can make 8 streams of income from pretty much just from footwear and fashion sprawl from that. So pretty much when people say that, I want to get to the point where somebody in the US is like, I want to make shoes, I'm the first person they talk to. I'm the first person they call because I want to build a facility where I can design, develop, and manufacture. And they have it here. I mean, I've been to factories in LA, but I can go to somebody's factory and I can already see the bottlenecks. Like that. Like even for me, the factory back home, I could draw you the whole map of that joint. Like every machine. When I
Dang.
go into certain places, I like, especially if I'm in a factory, I'm legit studying your factory. So if I'm in there for 30 seconds, I done looked at everything in there, all that good stuff. So even the factories that I worked at, I can tell you why if they were going to fail, I can tell you why they were going to fail.
What would your biopic be called?
Oh, that's a good question. Built to last.
Built to last, like Ford trucks.
Tell you why? It's because when making shoes, when you closing it over, you lasting it. It's called lasting. So that's like one of the most critical parts, because you can sew the whole shoe up, but if you align it crooked and you close it up, that perfect shoe is crooked. So now it don't matter. And so we built to last, baby.
How you thought of that before?
Built to last?
Yeah.
I have thought about it because I was gonna do like capsule pieces with that.
Yeah, that sounds better than air.
It's gonna be better than air.
That sounds way better than air. Like, as you know, your movie Built to Last. I'll watch that over air. Who would play you?
Yes, well, by the time I get to that point, Lorenz Tate gonna be old. So
man, he ain't aged yet. What do you mean?
Right? I guess not. I mean, for me, everybody be like, you look like Lorenz Tate. Like even when I met Roxy Diaz yesterday, and she's like, you look like Lorenz Tate.
That's funny.
Like yeah, I've had people be calling me. They're like, Shane, was you on this? And I'm like, what? They like, oh, that was a Lorenz Tate. So it's wild, bro. Yeah, yeah. I guess Lorenz Tate will play me. Yeah,
that's funny.
Nah, dope. So I'm gonna wrap it up with the last one, man. And I know you're gonna give me a good one. So with COVID, all the craziness that we've experienced over the last 3 years or so, where do you see social progress going in the next 2 years?
Ooh. I don't know, man, because like, I don't know. That's a good one. I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't thought about it in that aspect. But I mean, I hope it's like, I mean, really at the bottom of it all, we just need to treat each other better. Let's just start there.
Hey, that sounds sweet. And man, I feel your enthusiasm. But it's just so crazy because it just seems like everyone is so disconnected. And it seems like social media
100%
is kind of the drumbeat. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it will be interesting. It will be.
It's gonna be crazy. I mean, yeah. I mean, but I think, but see, that also boils down to your awareness, what you're really trying to obtain in life. You know, because some people play on social media all day long just because they don't have anything else to take their mind from that. You know? So that's so I don't know, man. Some of that's above my pay grade sometimes, to be honest.
Nah, that's dope. Well, nah, man. Give us your socials, man. If people want to come and check you out.
All right, you can check me out on IG at Shane Lawson Brand. And Facebook, I think it says Shane Lawson Brand. And then the website is ShaneLawsonBrand.com.
Right. Cool. You got anything new and exciting coming up we need to be checking out?
Yeah, so this shoe is my new Linwood that I just finished 3 weeks ago. Handmade. I'm working on 2 more samples. And then I'm gonna do some pop-ups within like the next 30 to 45 days and start taking pre-orders.
All right.
Yeah, I need that.
In the name of your brand?
The name is Shane Lawson, and then this shoe is called Linwood.
The Linwood.
Yes, sir.
I think Linwood is going to be the first official shoe sponsor of Splendid Radio, man.
I got you.
Call me. Call me a wizard. Call me a whatever you want to call me, man.
Gotta do your podcast with your feet in the air.
Yeah, man. Hey, if I got them magical Lawsons on, I might have to kick a shoe up, man. Kick a foot up, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I'm
funny.
put you on my seating list.
Nah, all good. And you, Jeremy, what you got coming up? What you got popping?
This weekend I'll be at Yonkers Comedy Club, located in Yonkers, New York. Opening for Flame Monroe.
Whoa, big deal. That's a big deal.
I gotta get your props, bro.
What's up?
Gotta give you props. You be killing it, bro. And I love
Man.
seeing your socials. And even though I don't get to all the shows, I'll be watching. Man, inspiring.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Just working, bro. We gonna make this all make sense, man. It's gonna make sense real soon.
Oh man, that's dope. Well, I'll say this, man. Man, Shane, this was a good one, man. This was like motivational on so many levels because you hear people that talk it, but when you could see somebody, regardless of the level that they're doing it though, but somebody that has enough faith in themselves, like, dude, if you got 3 sewing machines, you trusted yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah.
Me spending, I done spent some money.
Yeah.
But it's investing.
Yeah.
Like to me, up to the point where I'm not even like losing money don't even scare me.
Yeah.
I literally like I had one batch of shoes that was like $4,500, like pretty much down the drain. And I had to bounce back from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like to me, that's just part of it. I've heard worse stories. So when I'm, spending a couple $100 on items, like I'm too broke to be scared to spend my money on my business or in general.
Whenever I'll say this before I close out. Whenever you want to think of a bad story, I had a homeboy who he lived in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And me, I always like to ask people how they make money, who they've seen make money, and just inquire about that stuff because I'm a hustler. Like, man, I like to grind. I invest in myself. Woo, woo, woo. So I had one of my homeboys tell me the worst Vegas story he ever heard. He had a homeboy that worked at this bar, and there was a guy in the bar, and he was sitting at the bar, and he was hella faded.
Yeah.
And he was lighting $100 bills on fire. And security had to come over to him, check him, tell him to, chill out, woo, woo, man, you got to leave. You know what I'm saying? You're doing too much. And homeboy started crying. And homeboy was like, man, I just lost my business. My wife is going to divorce me. My business partner's not going to have no money. I came out here thinking that I was going to just turn everything around. So I say that to you to say, man,
that's wild.
Whatever you think you lost, you ain't lost that much. And
no, so, I don't like, for me, I came to terms with all of it, and it's all just helped me to get to where I'm at. It was rough, but it's part of it.
Oh no, it's the university. Yeah, it's university for real.
Telling that story.
So with that being said, man, it's been another episode of Splendid Radio on PharcydeTv. Man, Shane, I really appreciate you, dude. This was a good one. And once again, man, it's always good to holler at my homeboy Jeremy, man. Funny as hell, man.
Always.
And good luck with that show with Flame, dude. That's gonna be real.
It's gonna be crazy. We'll talk about it.
I keep that.
Yeah. All right, y'all.